Hey guys, I am the Comics Kid 2099, and yesterday I watched a movie that I want to talk about with you guys. The movie was Looper from the year 2012. This movie stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis and a couple of other people whose names I don't know. I think Emily Blunt may be in it. But basically, this movie is a movie about an assassin in the year 2044. That is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He is a looper. He is somebody who in the year 2074, the mob, they send people back in time who they want to get rid of. And then these loopers in the year 2044, they kill these people that the mob in the future wants to get rid of, and then they get money from the future. And as it turns out, these loopers, they know going into this job that eventually they are going to have to kill themselves because the mob in the future, it's so very illegal what they are doing that they don't even want to risk any of these assassins later ratting them out. So 30 years after these loopers are retired, these bad guys will hunt down these loopers and send them back in time to be killed by their younger selves. It's a little confusing, but that's basically the premise. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, of course, is the younger version of Bruce Willis, who's sent back in time. And it's basically, you remember this story right here, X-Men Messiah Complex? It's basically that story, but done well. I'm sure I'm going to make someone mad if you're a fan of the Messiah Complex story, but that story was, you have this baby that's born, and everyone is told this baby is going to be important. Everyone seems to think that the baby is important, and then you've got someone like, spoiler for Messiah Complex, you've got someone like Bishop who thinks that the baby is going to be the next Adolf Hitler, and then you've got someone like Cable who seems to think that the baby is going to be the next Messiah who's going to save the entire planet. And the thing about Looper, it's a very similar story because Bruce Willis, he eventually kind of becomes the antagonist of this story, and he gets loose in the present day. Like when he is sent back in time, he manages to get loose so Joseph Gordon-Levitt isn't able to kill his future self, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt is chasing after his future self, trying to kill him so that he can get everything back to the way it should be. And Bruce Willis, at one point, they kind of have a dinner with each other, and they kind of explain their own points of view to each other, and we get to see what makes this same character tick in two different points of his life. And we get to see that even though they are the same character, they're both they're very different at these points in their life. And Bruce Willis, he says, listen, in the future there's going to be this guy who takes over the world. He is going to take over all of the organized crime. He is called the Rainmaker. And at this point in the movie, we know that there's people in this world with telekinesis, and the Rainmaker, it turns out, is one of these people with telekinesis. And Bruce Willis says, I know that the Rainmaker is one of 3 children who is alive in the year 2044, and I'm going to hunt him down and I'm going to kill him because the Rainmaker is the reason that my wife in the future is dead. And like I say, it's very similar to the Messiah Complex story. And by the way, I'm sure that if you haven't seen Looper, everything that I'm saying right now makes absolutely no sense. I do recommend that you go and watch Looper, if only because then my review will make a little bit more sense. But also, I think this movie is astoundingly good. I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed it. It's a very solid film, and it's a very solid science fiction film. And I don't feel like we can say that enough about science fiction films. I don't think we get enough science fiction films that I can say that was a very solid science fiction film. But anyway, back to my review. This Rainmaker is a little kid in the year 2044, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he winds up getting part of this map that Bruce Willis has, and the map has 3 marks on it where the 3 possible Rainmakers are. Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets part of it, and I will say, it's very, very convenient that the piece of the map that he gets winds up leading him to the actual Rainmaker, and that's just so that the movie can go on for as long as it does, because if he wound up getting one of the other 2 pieces of the map, then Bruce Willis would have killed the Rainmaker in the next 10 minutes, and then the movie would have been over. So it's very convenient that Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets the piece of the map that he gets, but that's movie logic for you. And like I said, this is very similar to Messiah Complex in that we don't know who is right and who is wrong. You've got the mother of this boy who ends up being the Rainmaker, and she says, yes, he's like the most powerful telekinetic that you've ever seen in your life, and he's got a really bad temper problem. Like, he throws these temper tantrums, and the mother has to get in this safe in the closet just so that she doesn't get, like, thrown against the wall or exploded or something like that. And she says, yes, he has a bad temper problem. Yes, he's like the most powerful person you've ever seen on the planet. But if I raise him, if I instill in him a morality, he will turn out to be like the best person in the world. He could use his powers for good. And meanwhile, you've got Bruce Willis, who knows from experience that this kid is sending people to kill his wife in the future. And it's one of those things where in the Messiah Complex story, for no reason at all, Cable just assumes that this baby is going to be the Messiah who saves everyone. He doesn't have any actual evidence. Him and Cyclops both just assume that this baby is going to be very important. And we know now Hope Summers hasn't done jack crap in the Marvel Universe. So really, she wasn't that important at all. And that kind of proves just how stupid Messiah Complex as a story really was, because these people just out of nowhere, they're pulling these assumptions out of their butt saying, yeah, this baby is going to be really important. She's either going to be really good or really evil. And it turns out she's neither. And that's not a problem in Looper. In Looper, it makes sense. Where it doesn't make sense in Messiah Complex, it totally works in the Looper movie. And this movie, I cannot recommend it enough. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of the Terminator. You've got a lot of this, is the future set in stone? Can we change the future by our actions? We've got a lot of that going on. Although, with the Terminator franchise, that question seemed to have a different answer with each film. In this movie, the answer is pretty set in stone, I would say. The answer to the question, can we change the future, is pretty much a certain, absolutely, this is the answer here. But for all I know, if they made a movie in 10 years called Rainmaker and it's a sequel to Looper, maybe they would change the answer. I don't know. This movie was really awesome. I cannot recommend it enough. I really enjoyed it. I guess mostly this review is just me taking a dump on the Messiah Complex story, which I cannot say enough bad things about that story. The last time I read it, I really disliked it, and I did a video about it a long time ago. That was like one of my earliest reviews. But when watching this Looper movie, it reminded me so much of the Messiah Complex story, but it's so much better. Everything about this movie is just so much better. If you are sick and tired of seeing this same old of like someone comes back in time from the future to try and kill someone who's really important, maybe you should watch this movie, because it does that story, that very familiar story that you've seen half a dozen times, but it does it in a way that really works. It works very well, I think. I would give this movie an A or an A+. It's very good. I have very, very few problems with it. Like I said, you've got this one minor movie logic where Joseph Gordon-Levitt just happens to get the piece of the map that leads him to the actual Rainmaker, and so that prolongs the climax of the movie till the end of the movie. But really, that would have to happen, otherwise you've got an hour-long movie. I like this movie a lot. I can't wait to watch it again, and if you guys haven't watched this movie yet, I would suggest that you go and do so, because it really is a really good movie. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not going to see it back when it was in theaters, but that's just how I am. I wait and then I decide if a movie is going to be worth it until well after it's out in the theater, out of the theater. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I might be back tomorrow with a different kind of video. At the very least, I will be back Saturday with another review. I might be back tomorrow, though. I'm not really sure. So either way, I will see you guys later this week. Have a great rest of the day.